Good evening and welcome back to episode 3 of season 9 of Forestry Pipe Mania, where I've let the game run for a little bit. We've got some new coins. We have more coins. They're the words I want. We have more research points, which is awesome, and we can upgrade our town centre again because we have upgraded our houses because they have leveled up. So let's do that first. Click. There we go. More influence. Awesome. And that requires red coins, and we're not making red coins yet, but we'll do that. I haven't left it running, so we have dropped down a lot of trees, which I should have probably waited for that. But there is something up here I want to address. It's fine, but I just want to address it in case somebody else comes across this and notices that there's a problem with this. You will notice this here doesn't have any stone to produce any stone bricks. And the barn is full. This doesn't have any stone. This barn is full. And that is because, as I said in the previous episode, extracting from a building takes priority over importing. So the Omnipipes, if we go and look at them, are clogged. And it's fine. It's clogged in a good way, though. It's fine. So what's happened here is that when the stone comes along and ends up sat on this tile right here in the centre, and it's on hold, so the tile just sat there, the stone is sat there waiting for the space. As space becomes available, it goes in. The Omni connector detects that there's something in the building to pull out, so it pulls it out before allowing the next stone to come in. So it pulls this stone out and then sends it on the line, and that's the way the priority works. So if there's something here, it will go in, and then the output happens, and then the next block comes along. Now the problem to that is because this is full, the pipe has blocked, so the Omni connector has pulled out the stone and now can't move the stone brick on, so the stone itself can't get in there. You can fix that by just running a pipe in and then a pipe out separately, or just leave it and it's absolutely fine. In this situation, it is fine. It works perfectly well. There's nothing wrong with what's happening there. We've got 200 stone. If I start using stone, obviously the pipe will clear and then this can go in there and do more things there, so that's fine. If you do want to actually put more into here, because you could potentially have 20 stone here and 10 stone bricks here, you will do the separate pipes. I think in the future I will generally do separate pipes, so that'll be fine, and we can fill that out there. Another thing I had noticed as well, which is interesting, we need rails and cloth conveyor belts to produce progress. Now I'm a little confused by that. We do have the recipes here, so we can make them. So I'm guessing we can make the items, we just can't place them in the world. I thought it just removed them completely, but then that would break the whole system of upgrading and moving on. And also some conveyor belts are used in recipes later on. So like I think metal rails are used in industrial research later on. So we will need to make them. We just can't put them in the world. So yeah. So when I was saying in the research I'm going to ignore the conveyor belts, I can't ignore the conveyor belts. We need them. We need cloth conveyor belts. We need to do the thing. So that's the thing we need to do. So okay. But today is actually going to be forestry day. We need forestry and farming. That's the idea. I just wanted to address that issue there. So forestry and farming. So what we need to do is we need to put in a forester here before these workers eat all the trees. So let's stop you. And let's stop you. And let's put a forester down here to get the trees. Now there are trees elsewhere which we could gather, but we don't have the money because it's 20 coins per pipe. We don't have the money to run an Omni pipe from here to there. That's going to be thousands of coins. So we want to kind of do it here. So let's grab a forester. Which actually, let's research forestry. There we go. Awesome. So forester. Let's put a forester down next to it. We want to put him somewhere near the trees so that he gets linked to the trees. Only got 14 trees because we dropped down many of them. There is something else you'll notice on the floor there as well. Now we've got the influence from the town, which I don't know why it's showing like that as a grid. It doesn't normally do that. It's normally faded away because it actually is doubling up here for affinity. And affinity is something that I need to explain because it's not confusing, but it's something you need to desperately be aware of if you haven't played before. So let's put the forester down there, and we're going to delete that road, and we're going to put a new road there so he can get the bonus to speed up here. Now, foresters chop down trees, but they don't chop them down. When a tree ends up empty, when it ends up zero, wouldn't it? It will plant a sapling, and the sapling will then start to grow. When the sapling grows, it can then be chopped down again. Affinity affects how trees grow and what they do. So if I come in here and I go tree, we have tree plants as well. We can't build tree plants in these fertilizers. I'll explain that in a moment. So we have a tree. I have a tree selected. You'll see in the top right corner, it says yield 10. Default is 10, terrain is grass, tree planter is not available, and affinity is not available. I put it up here, it says terrain is rock, yield is 0. I can't put it on rock. Okay, so that answers my previous question. I can't plant stuff up here. Right, so it knows that that's a different terrain type. Okay. And sand, can't plant on sand either, so it knows the terrain type. Certain crops do have certain terrain types, so that's important. What is this? Decrease test. Oh yes, of course. You can use the page up and page down buttons to increase the size that you're going to put down. That works for many things, so you can put down multiple trees at once. So doing that requires 2.3 thousand coins, 3.9 thousand coins, 4,000 coins. We can't do that. So what we'll do instead is we will put down a tree somewhere important. So right now this says yield in the top corner 10. If I go over this affinity, which is highlighted here, it says yield 40. The way affinity works is it basically boosts the tree likes being in that tile. So if I click on this tree here and we go to the affinity tab, come over here. See, the affinity it's under is wood. It is 100% wood tile. That's the affinity tile. The yield is going to be 40. So the way yield works is you have a default amount that a tree or a crop, it's the same for trees and crops, pear trees, apple trees, normal trees, any of the crop types. I don't think fish have affinity yet. They may do. I know there was talk about that, but I don't know if they do yet. But yeah, so the affinity works the same way, but in the yield the same way. So you have a default amount. You then have the terrain is on, which can give it a bonus or say not. So basically, deep grass doesn't give it a bonus. It's just it's happy to be on grass. It's fine with it. A tree planter will increase it by 100%. Now the 100% is based on the default amount. It'd be easier if I show this in crops actually. Let me show you in grain. Let me show you some grain. Can we plant grain yet? We can't. Right. Let me jump over. Let me jump over. We're going to unlock farming. We're done. There you go. Now we should unlock grain. There we go. Okay. Okay. So this works so much better if we do grain, because it makes more sense. It makes more sense added here. So you see the yield is 30. So this applies to trees as well, but trees don't have. They only have one single bonus. They don't have multiple things. So if I explain it here, it also applies to trees as well. So we have the default, which is 10. The terrain type is what terrain type is on. Basically, this tells you whether you can or cannot plant it. The farm tile, water, and fertilizer all add a percentage, and the percentage is based on the default number. So the water is adding 50%, so that adds 15. If there was a farm tile, that adds 5. So 50% of 10 is 5, so that makes it 15. If there's a farm tile, it would be 100%, and that is on the default amount, so that would add 10, which would make these two together 25. Not 100 and then 50, it would add the two together. So the 100% makes 10, 20, the 50% makes 10, 15, so that's adding 5 and adding 10, which will make it 25. The fertilizer would add another 5, which will make it 30, and then the affinity is times 2, and the times is the total amount. So if you were to fill all of these in together, that would be an extra 10, an extra 5, an extra 5 makes 30. Affinity times 2 means it will yield 60. Right now it's yielding 30 because 10 plus 5 is 15 times 2 is 30. So that makes sense. Farm tiles are something you can place down. They require fertilizer, and a farm can add fertilizer and water to a farm tile to add to it. So you can put farms wherever you want and still add the goods to them to get all the bonus to them. Affinity is the important one here. So if I copy this tile here, you'll see all these tiles here are affinity with grain. So I'll put them here, and it tells you what you're going to get here as well. So here we're going to get 20 because we have the affinity. Here we're going to get 30 because we have the water nearby. It's taking water automatically from the river. You can manually put water in if you have farm tiles. And over here we'll just give you 10. Now if I put it over here, when the crop grows to 100% growth, it will add, I think, 0.1 to the affinity. The numbers are a bit weird. I think it adds like 1% or 2% to the affinity. And you saw in this here, the affinity is 100%. Now, if I was to take this grain and I was to put it over here, say, it's going to be at 0 affinity, because this affinity here is not for grain, it's for herbs. See, it says herb affinity 100%. In order to break down the herb affinity, so if I put a herb over here, you'll see this says it's going to be 4 because the yield on a herb is 4. If I wanted to plant grain over here, every time the grain grows, it would drop the affinity by a percentage. I think it's 2% a go. So you have to grow and chop the crop 50 times to come there. I'm not 100% sure on the numbers. I think it's 2% a go. They changed a few times, changed things around, but basically you have to get rid of all the herb affinity down to 0% and then start building your grain affinity. And that's the same for trees. If you put trees where crops are, you'd have to grind the crop affinity down to 0 and then build it up again. So it's always best to put crops or trees on their own affinity or where no affinity is, because then they can build their affinity themselves over time. And affinity only increases every time the crop or tree or whatever grows to 100%. So it needs to be chopped down, it grows, it adds to affinity. Chop it down, it grows, adds again, so on and so forth. It's easy enough to understand once you get your head around how the affinity system works. It isn't absolute dead, you must plant crops on affinity. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can plant them here, it will only get you 10, but it will build affinity slowly over time. So it's not terribly important to actually make sure you're putting on affinity. It helps, gives you a bonus to crops, very nice. Putting crops on affinity that isn't their own is kind of harmful because it takes a long time to grow them, but it only slows down the amount you get, because obviously during the growth cycle, when they're growing, you can't chop them down. You have to wait for them to be fully grown before you can chop them down. So it just slows down. When they grow, they have a certain yield, and the higher the yield means you can get more out of them before they have to grow again. So you do get a higher throughput, but it's not absolutely 100%. You don't have to follow the affinity. It's just recommended to do so, and try and avoid putting crops down on affinity that isn't their own. You will do it sometimes, because like over here there might be some crops in here, like trees particularly, and we'll get rid of the trees and put a grain farm down, and they'll be like, oh well, that's got to get rid of all the tree affinity and the wood affinity and then grow its own one, but that's fine. Another trick to do with farms particularly is because affinity is added to the crop at the point of growth, rather than adding farm tiles to increase the yield, you have the yield as small as possible, so the crop gets chopped down quickly and then regrows. And of course that means that the affinity is growing quicker and quicker and quicker, and you will get more bonus to it. So that's why in a lot of my games, and people will ask why I'm not using farm tiles, it's because I'm waiting for the affinity to fill first. Then we add farm tiles to it to add bonus to it later on. So that's affinity. Hopefully that's explained it. If you've got any questions, do put in the comments below. I don't know if I've explained it very well. I don't know if I've covered everything on affinity. I think I have, but it was weird to get heads around when it first started. I understand it now, but I don't know whether I can explain it very well. But hopefully you get it. When you copy the item you see, you will see the affinity. Because should you don't see the affinity, don't assume there isn't one there. Seeing affinities as well is kind of... there is an option here, world data, trees and crops. If you tick trees and crops here, you'll see all the affinity dotted around in the world, under the world data tab here, which is F. So you can see where they all are. There's grain, there's cotton, and usually where there are tiles, where there are things, you will get affinity natural around them, so that's good. Yeah, okay, so enough of that. Trees. This is chopped down trees, and this has produced 10 wood, and we need to get the wood into this lumber mill and this lumber mill, because this lumber mill feeds that one. We could put it in one lumber mill, and we could have the lumber mill do 2 recipes. There's no reason why we can't have 2 recipes here. But that will just generally slow down what's happening, and I'd rather get the production chains working a bit better. So we're going to move some things around. Let's put this lumber mill, move that over there, let's grab. Let's put this lumber mill. We'll put this lumber mill opposite this one, and we'll put the opposite there, like that. And then we need to go underground, and we need to move our pipes and things. You can remove pipes, and you will get the money back for them. You'll see in the top corner there, get money back for them. When it comes to removing items as well, if you push X on the keyboard, you will get your remove tool there, or whatever button is on the joypad. Factory Town in this update has joypad support, which makes me excited that there might be console ports coming. I don't know. Just disclaimer there, I don't know 100% either way, but maybe, you never know. I don't know what it takes to export to Xbox and things, but yeah. But if you bring up the remove block layer, press X there. If you just click anywhere blank and hold, when you mouse over things, it will remove everything. If you click on a specific thing, like for instance an Omnipipe, it will only remove that type of item. So if I click on the Omnipipe and hold the mouse button down and then just start dragging around all over the place, it removes all the Omnipipes, but doesn't remove the connector. Not very important when you're working underground, because you probably want to remove all of them anyway. But when you are working above ground, it can be quite useful. If you say you want to remove a conveyor belt or well, we won't have conveyor belts, but if you want to remove this road, but don't want to remove a stone road, if we had a stone road down, you push X, you click on the starting road, and you just drag around. And I can show you this. Let's actually show you. Bring that up there. We'll put down a stone road as well. Stone roads are nice. They're not they don't actually add bonuses to workers, but we'll upgrade some stone. So say we want to remove this dirt road, but not this stone road. So we hold the remove button. We click on the road, and because I clicked on the road and I'm dragging, now it doesn't remove this. I'm still holding the mouse button. It removes that road there. Removes that road there. Doesn't remove the stone road. It only removes the one item you've got. So if you only want to remove a specific thing, like a conveyor belt, particularly in the sky, because sometimes if you have conveyor belts above buildings, it's difficult to remove the correct things. If you start by clicking on that one item you want to remove, it will not remove other things around it. Can be extremely useful. Works the same way as well. Remove the stone roads, but is not removing anything else. So just a useful little thing there, which are quite useful. But anyway, sorry, distracted. So we want to get this coming up to these two buildings, and then these two buildings feeding this here. So the school's fine. So we're going to grab a pipe, and we're going to run it to here. And then we're going to put one left, one right, like that. And then you are going to feed to there, and then you are going to feed to there. No, you're not. No, you're not. We're not actually going to feed it anymore. Wheels are used for wagons, and they're used in making conveyor belts. So we don't need to store them, because we're not going to use them for wagons, because we can't build wagons. So there's no point in storing them. I had stored them to start with because I needed to get 20 of them for the storage. But we won't store them. They can be fine. So this here, we have a split. What's going to happen is the tree's going to come along, the wood's going to come along, go up here, and by default, Factory Town prioritizes forwards, then right, then left. So it's going to come up here to a junction, and it's going to go, hey, can I go forward? No, I can't. Okay. Can I go right? Yes, I can. Everything will go right until right is blocked, then it will go left. Important to know, because it can be useful if you want to do that. If you want to have, so here I would prioritize the wood going into the wooden wheels. So it would prioritize the right hand side rather than the left hand side. But if you want to split them, we should have a splitter. This is available, I think, from the start of the game. So it might be when you get the workshop start games. Yeah, the splitter. The splitter does exactly what it says on the tin. Boom, put it down. It can split forward, backwards, left, right, and it's smart enough to know that, hey, we can't go forward because there's nothing here. So I will split right, left, right, left, right, left, so on and so forth. It will do that automatically. Bypass and hold does make an important difference here. Right now we have an output ratio. We have one left, one straight on, one right. So that's it. If I actually if I turn the camera this way and bring it on here, sorry, turn the camera this way and bring it on here. There we go. That's going to help us. So the first one is up. Now that looks the same to this here. So this is representing this actual physical thing here. So it will send one left, one straight on, and one right. If it cannot send one left or right or straight on, it will bypass and move to the next one. If you go hold, it will exactly split left and right. I think it's smart enough to know it can't move straight on, so you don't have to set this here. But you can change these numbers. So you can say, hey, I actually want 2 to go to the right, and 1 to go to the left. Or I want 3 to go to the right, 3 to go. Because we can look at these recipes and go, hey, you need 1 wood, you need 1 wood. So we're going to go 1 and 1. But later on, we might go to like the plank one and say, hey, you need 2 planks, and a different recipe needs 1 plank. So we're going to reinforce planks, for instance. This needs 1 plank. So we want to send 1 plank to the left for the reinforced planks and 2 to the right for the wooden wheels. So it's a very useful thing to do. You can obviously set these to 0 as well to make sure nothing goes anywhere. If you set it to 0 and have a bypass on, it will follow this. It will go left, right, and then if left, right is full, it will then go straight on. So we could do that, and we could have this go straight on and end up back into the base, into our town centre. So then we would start getting some wood as well. I'm going to do that. And we can show this off here. So what should happen here is this, because it's set to bypass, it will go left, don't want to go forward, right. Left, don't want to go forward, right. It will go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. When these 2 buildings fill up, it will then go, well, I can't go left, I can't go right, I shouldn't go forward because it's set to 0, but I am set to bypass, so I will go forward. If you set it to hold, it will not go that way. It will go left, right, left, right. And if the left one blocks up and the right one needs wood, it will, on hold, it will just hold it because it's trying to send 1 left and 1 right. So let's unpause the game, and here goes the wood. Here we go. Zoom. Here we go, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. See, nothing's going straight on. Yep. And this is doing its thing here. I'm doing absolutely fine. This building has got 4 wood. This one's got 2 wood. It's not gonna fill up anytime soon because we aren't producing enough wood to actually give us anything here. So let's do that. Let's speed it up. And this is another important thing about foresters. So you two, I'm very sorry, but goodbye. It's been nice knowing you. Goodbye. You can come and work in the forester, because foresters work slightly differently when it comes to worker bonus. These workers here, every worker you add above the additional 1 will add 0.5 to a maximum of 3. See there, you can have 5 workers at plus 3. So the first worker is 100%. Every worker additionally is 50%. Buildings like the forester, the farm, the fishery, and mines can have 10 workers, and they all add a 100% bonus. So you see here, it says 1 of 10, and if we click here, the mass of this, see, it adds 100. And the reason for that is because you can put production buildings like a lumber mill anywhere. They can go anywhere on the map, it doesn't matter. Foresters and farms are kind of confined to an area where there's enough space to have their crops around them. So you're not going to have as many, so you want to have more workers concentrating in them. Plus, this building is only working in the 3 tiles it's in. It's only working inside the building. This is technically working all the tiles around it, so it makes sense to have more people out picking the herbs, chopping out the trees, so on and so forth. So it's definitely worth adding workers to foresters and farms and things. Not really worth adding workers to production buildings. You're better building a second production building because you get the 100% bonus for the first worker rather than the 50% for added workers. But space, you might be needing, you might not have enough space, so you might need to add more workers to it. And when you get your happiness bonus up, workers can become even more awesome. But that also applies to this as well. So every worker we add is going to add 1.1. So it becomes 2.2, 3.3, 4.4, interesting 3.3, 3.30, 4.4, 5.5. There you go. Do bear in mind that there are 2 things happening here. One, this is working faster, so it's chopping down trees faster, which means you're going to use up all your trees. Be careful of that. Very, very easy to do. And 2, your output. Right now we're using Omnipipes. Omnipipes are really quick. But it is possible to actually chop down more trees than your output can support. So you end up, the trees just end up inside here and your workforce is kind of wasted. Let's go up to 10. I think an Omnipipe can deal with this fine. If I'm honest with you, I think an Omnipipe's brilliant. When you're using chutes early game, if you're not playing on Pipe Mania, if you're using chutes can only deal with, I think you get to about 6 workers, and it's a chute's too much. See now, interesting, this is not working the way I expected it to work. This is going left, right, but it's not going straight on. Okay, so I thought bypass allowed it to go straight on, but I guess it doesn't. If it's set to 0, I guess it doesn't allow the bypass to work. Okay, so that does not work the way I expected it to work. good job I tested that and showed it on camera, because that does not work the way I wanted it to. I thought even though it's set to 0, it would allow something to go forward. Because it's set to bypass. Interesting. I honestly thought because it was set to bypass, it would still go forward. Okay. Okay, well that's okay. That's okay. We do want the wood going forward to here, but we're not in desperate need for it. Plus we could put a barn in line as well. We could put a barn somewhere and say, hey, actually go to the barn, which would make a bit more sense, because then we can store wood in the barn and not worry about having to store 400 wood in the base. Wood's used in a lot of places, but it's not used that badly. So I'm gonna ignore that and carry on there. But that's just to note, that does not work the way I expected. I thought with bypass set it would still bypass, but I suppose that makes sense, because if you don't want it going forward, you would set it to 0. You could say, hey, go 10 left, 10 right, and then 1 forward, and then, you know, it would every 21 logs will go straight on, and that would then allow logs to continue on if there was no space either side. You could still do that and just set the left to right ratios to be ridiculously high. You know, like you can set them to be 100. You can set them to be 100, for instance. So, you know, say, hey, send 100 left, send 100 right, and then send 1 forward, and then that would allow, when these sides are full, it to go forward, because it bypasses now. So that would get around that restriction. So you can do that. It makes sense that bypass does not allow something to go to a 0, 1, because you wouldn't want that logic. That would make sense to me. So I don't know why I expected that to work, but that's the way it could work. Oh, mistakes. But it's okay. But I can leave it like that, because there is no straight on anyway. So, you know, it's just going to split left, right, and that's absolutely fine. There we go. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So this is all good. You are full. Yes, you are full. You are not full, because you need more stuff going on there. So that's okay. That's okay. So you are full. So this side is good. This one is full because it's struggling to keep up with paper, which is fine. Which is fine. Okay. Okay. So we need to get more happiness before we can get more workers doing things. But we also want to work on a farm, because this is not great. This is not very great. But what I need to do realistically is I need to build out here for farming. Because farming needs space, and putting it in here, we could get a farm in here and get some potatoes growing, I suppose. It wouldn't be a terrible thing, but it's kind of a bit of a struggle for the space in here. I'd much rather go out there. Important to note, you can move town centres if you have that option turned on. So we may move our entire town over to here, to this flat area here to start with, and then we'll have to come in here and do things in bits and pieces with that. So but we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's just the challenge of these high areas is fantastic. I like having high areas and difficult to do things, but it doesn't lead itself well to the new town centre system, where you want to put things in the influence of the town centre. Very difficult to do there. So we are probably going to build a lot on the plank areas, which means we're going to be trying to find flat areas. There's 3 of them here, which is really nice. We can put loads of stuff in here, but then we're going to have to probably go and find some more areas elsewhere. So we're going to have a big gap between towns. See how it goes. Plus, I kind of want a desert. None of these are desert, which is really surprising, because there should be desert. It might be the deserts in the centre, and this might be a 9 tile one. If it is, that's not kind of what I wanted. That's not what I expected map generation to do. But hey ho, we live and learn. But okay, so that's forestry. That's how forestry works. We've learnt that the splitters don't do the way I expected them to do things. But that's fine. So yeah, foresters, very important to add there. We've got 10 workers in here and they're not doing things, so they are kind of wasted. If you need workers, you can turn these back down again, because you don't need to run that many. And you can figure the numbers out as well. You can happily figure them, so you can figure out, hey, this needs 1 wood every 4 work units. So let's go with 4 seconds. 1 wood every 4 seconds. This needs 1 wood every 3 seconds. So that's an awkward number to figure out. So if we say it needs 2 wood every 6 seconds, that will cover us. This is for you. I'm ignoring the bonus, the 1.1 seconds here, because this gets the bonus as well, the 1.1 bonus, or the 0.1 bonus. So you can ignore that and just figure out, well, hey, if you're producing 1 every 4, and you need 1 every 4, so this forester with 1 worker can support this lumber mill perfectly. So we will need to add a second worker to it to support this one, which is 3 work units. But actually, we need to add a third worker because this is 3 work units and this is 4. So this should be able to keep up at 3 workers. This should produce more than enough wood when both of these are running at full speed to keep up with those 2 there. Because 1 in 4 is 1 unit and 1 every 3 is more than 1 unit, but 2 does the job. So yeah, you can figure out the exact numbers and figure out how things work, so it's doable. But yeah, so that's that there. So okay, we shall leave this one here. That is forestry covered. Next time we'll come back and do some farming, and we shall continue from there. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you again in the next one. And until then, as always, have fun.